Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Bank Shop Breakdown. We're going to go over 5 college basketball games for Wednesday, March 6, 2024. If you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comment section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my college basketball Bank Shop best bet, you can find this in the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Wednesday in college hoops. First up, it's Loyola Chicago and Davidson. This one's going to be 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN+. I think this is a really good spot for Davidson. We're getting a really good price with the Wildcats in this game for a number of reasons. First of all, Loyola Chicago, of course, coming off a huge upset or not a huge upset, but a nice upset over Dayton in a 77-72 win. The line was pretty close because Loyola Chicago is a solid team and they were home, but nonetheless, beating the best team in this conference. Always, you worry about a letdown in the next matchup. And on the other side, Davidson's lost 3 straight games. They're not in great form. They've lost 4 of the last 5 as well. And they lost to Loyola Chicago in the first matchup of this season series in a blowout, 76-63, a double-digit win for the Ramblers. So all those factors are really making this line overvalued, inflated, whatever you want to say, in favor of Loyola Chicago. And I'm just going to take those points here with Davidson as the home dog. Davidson in that first matchup with Loyola Chicago gave up 14 of 28 from three-point range in that game, 50%. Loyola Chicago is a good three-point shooting team, but Davidson's also a solid three-point defense. They're ranked right around 100 in the nation in three-point defense, holding teams to under 33% from the perimeter. I think Loyola Chicago's three-point shooting going to be far worse in this ball game. I think Davidson, like I said, the price is right because of all those recent results. I'm going to go with the points here with Davidson at home. Next up, we'll go to a Big South Conference tournament game in the first round. This one between Radford and USC Upstate. It's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be on ESPN+. I like the fact that Dave Dickerson's teams with USC Upstate have actually been pretty solid in this conference tournament. The Spartans are not necessarily known as a powerhouse in the Big South, that's for sure. But in the last 4 conference tournaments, USC Upstate's won at least 1 game in those tournaments, whether they were favored or underdogs in that first round. And I like him in this spot here in the first round. Darius Nichols, he's 1-2 in conference tournament play with Radford in the Big South thus far. I thought Radford, at the beginning of the season, a team that was, people were looking out for because they were 10-4 in non-conference play. They picked up a few nice wins, but they played a pretty weak schedule in non-conference play, and it didn't help them prepare for a pretty tough Big South, a much more competitive Big South than a lot of people expected. And, we saw Radford go 5-11, lose the final 2 games of the regular season. I like the fact that Upstate ended its regular season with a W against Presbyterian. It wasn't in great form before that game, but to earn that 2-point home victory, I think they can build off that momentum. I think USC Upstate is plainly the better team in this matchup. I like the fact that Dickerson has coached well in this conference tournament. I'm going to go with Upstate in this ball game to get the job done in the first round. Next up, we see Yukon and Marquette. This one's going to be 8:30 Eastern. It's going to be on Fox Sports 1. Injuries are certainly a factor in this ball game as Tyler Kolek and a few other key players for Marquette are either ruled out or questionable for this game. Kolek, of course, the most notable because he's one of the best players in the country and certainly in this Big East Conference. He's a 40% three-point shooter, very, very good scorer and even an underrated defender in my opinion. And, he's going to be out for the remainder of the regular season. So this game against Yukon, the next one at Xavier, but they're hoping that he'll be back for the Big East Conference tournament and beyond that into the NCAA tournament. But still, I think when you see, it's not just in pro sports, but even collegiate sports like these, we see a lot of overreactions to injuries in terms of the betting market, the numbers. And sometimes we can find really good value with those teams, with the injuries, because of the next man up mentality. This is still a very, very talented Marquette team, a team with a lot of depth, a team with one of the best coaches in college basketball and Shaka Smart. And it's a matchup where Marquette is playing with revenge. They got crushed against Yukon in the first matchup of the season series, 81-53. Marquette certainly remembers that game, and we know Marquette's coming off a loss again in their last game against Creighton, another blowout loss there, 89-75. Marquette's not fared too well on the road, and when you look at their 7 losses this season, only one of them was at home and only one of them was at a neutral site. So, a large majority on the road, but they're playing home here. Yukon on the other side has also had some issues away from home this season. When you look at their 3 losses, all 3 of those were true road games, and they played some close ones on the road as well against teams you would figure they would handle pretty easily. Only a 1-point win against Villanova, single-digit win against Butler and Xavier on the road. So I think the door is open here for Marquette, even without some key players to compete in this ball game and have a real good chance to win the game outright. I'm going to go with Marquette here. I'm going to go against the betting market, in terms of the overreaction to those injuries. I'm going to take Marquette in this one. Next up, we see Indiana and Minnesota. This one's going to be 9 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be on the Big Ten Network. Now, on Sunday, we were on Maryland against Indiana, looking really good at halftime in that game. We were laying about 8.5, 9 points. Maryland was up 10 points, and even at the beginning of the second half, they were up, I think, by as many as 15 or 16 points. And all of a sudden, Indiana came out of nowhere and ended up winning that game outright, 83-78. It really wasn't even close at the end of that ball game. Give Indiana credit. This is a program that's not necessarily known for playing well on the road. This is only their 3rd true road win of the season. But I got to go against them in this spot against one of the best covered teams in college basketball, a strong home court team in Minnesota. Indiana to win back-to-back true road games, especially after that big comeback victory, just really difficult in my opinion. I think it's a clear letdown spot for the Hoosiers, who have not really had, great. This has been a pretty, lousy season overall. 16-13 for this program. Used to big things, not what you want to see. This is still a team. It's a good shooting team. They're ranked 79th in effective field goal percentage, 41st in 2-point field goal percentage. But their defense still has issues. Fundamentally, their offense has problems turning the ball over. Not a great offensive rebounding team, and they're also one of the worst free throw shooting teams in college basketball. And that was one of the big things in that game against Maryland. Indiana had 17 free throw attempts. They made 14 of them, 82.4%. Well above their season average as a team at 65.8%. So it was a great shooting performance from the Hoosiers. Like I said, give them credit for that win on the road, but to expect them to win back-to-back true road games against such a good cover team in Minnesota, I got to go with the Gophers in this spot. Next up, we see Utah State and San Jose State. This one's going to be 9:30 Eastern. It's going to be on CBS Sports Network. Now, believe it or not, this is actually kind of an important game for Utah State in terms of just winning it. They certainly don't need a blowout win and cover, but a win in general certainly helps their chances of winning the Mountain West Conference regular season title. And, Utah State's already ranked in the AP polls. They're projected to be a 6th seed. They're basically a shoo-in to make the NCAA tournament. But if disaster struck and they didn't somehow get into the tournament, winning the regular season title in any conference ensures your spot in the NIT. So, it's also, bragging rights to win the regular season title as well. So I think Utah State has a reason to play for this one. And Utah State, number 2 in the country in 3-point defense, very important against the San Jose State team that scores a ton of its points from the 3-point line, especially with their big man out. San Jose State's probably going to take a lot of 3-point jumpers in this ball game. The Aggies are well equipped for that, and they're also a really good 2-point shooting team. Utah State is 11th best in the country. With no Diange for San Jose State, Utah State should have its way in the paint and 2-point range in general. This looks like a blowout to me. I'm going to go with Utah State and lay the points on the road. We're starting to see more road teams cover in this Mountain West Conference. We mentioned that the home teams were doing so well against the spread. It wasn't going to last forever. We're starting to see that trend switch. I'm going to go with the road team in this one and lay the points. And that's it. Those are the games for Wednesday in college basketball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. But don't forget to put your college basketball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Romanelli. Good luck.